What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight? It's Keefe at GhostColdMag.com, back with another rock and metal news show, the weekly ritual. Rock and metal news, we're everywhere on the web. Tried to go live like in the last hour, like 5 or 6 times, and the gear just would not cooperate. I'm shuttling back and forth between my apartment in San Francisco and my girlfriend's house, which you see me here all the time. And yeah, just a fucking hassle today. Just a fucking hassle. Pop open a Liquid Death mango chainsaw. I have a lifetime supply of these. No, I don't, but I wish I did. Gabe is here, Anthony Mosbeast. What's up, brother? Excited for your new album coming soon. Live on all the things. The best experience for this show is, as always, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, but I also like hanging out on the Tick of the Talk. So if you are there, thanks. This show will always be free. We do have a tip menu, which I'll post up in a minute. Gabe, thank you for your Ko-fi earlier. That was really sweet of you. Again, my real ones, my everydayers, you're all fam. I appreciate you. But of course, you know, we do get some advertising money, but we are not corporate backed. So, we'll see if these work or not. I am unsure, but I'm glad you're here, Gabe. Thanks for being here. Looks like we've got some watchers on the wall already. And what a crazy week in music, right? What an absolute crazy, batshit, insane time in the world. I hope everybody is good out there. I'm trying to do my best to keep it together. I'm hungry also, so this has gone very late, and my poor girlfriend is waiting for me. So, without further ado, let's do the damn thing. As always, I make a little deck to help with this. Again, feel free to watch. Let's jam on it right into it. We always start with the announcements. There's always some sad and complicated news. A reminder, we are giving away tickets to see Echo and the Bunnymen in Los Angeles. Please don't enter unless you have a realistic shot of going to the show, but West Coasters, Californians, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, theoretically, you could make it in for the show. Or if you're in the LA area and you love Echo and the Bunnymen, I'm super stoked to once again team up with Golden Voice on this. I'm really happy and appreciative that they like us as a partner. It's super cool to me. I think it's cool. I'm rather pleased. Looks like we got some people watching on the Book of Faces. We got some people watching on the Tube of You. And just thanks for being here. You could spend your time with anybody, but you're here with us, which is really nice. I'm appreciative. And if you are new here, check us out at ghostcoldmag.com. Follow us, and we will follow you back. And in addition to this, hey, Whimsy Fox is here. What's up? In addition to this giveaway, we're going to be doing some more giveaways next week for free vinyl and all kinds of stuff. So hang with us, and we'll make it worth your while. Make you smile because we're versatile. This is an interesting story that popped up this week. We always try to share GoFundMes from our community in case people are feeling charitable and can help. I don't know if you know who Neill Jameson is of the U.S. black metal band Krieg and Imperial and Neill and a bunch of others, but he was in Twilight, the big black metal supergroup, about 10 years ago. Neill is also a journalist, and he writes for Decibel. He writes a column as a sort of tastemaker about black metal and metal in general and the culture, and he is like a crocodile. Exactly. He has had to take full-time care of his wife, who's got a recurrence of cancer, as well as their autistic toddler, who needs full-time supervision. So there is a GoFundMe on. I'll link it in the description when the show is over, but you can basically search GoFundMe Neill Jameson. It's one of the most recent posts on our website, maybe yesterday. And yeah, Neill, I interviewed him once for Krieg. Really great interview, just like you would imagine him to be. Very Krieg of him. Very, it's Krieg, black metal. Super smart guy. Just tough situation with his partner and his child. Just a reminder, man, there's a lot of crummy actors out there in the music world who post bullshit stories every day. And I get that it's kind of probably hard to know what is real and what is fake out there, right? And I try to keep it real as much as humanly possible, but I get that it's challenging to do what we do. So we ran this story last week about Max and Gloria Cavalera's daughter, Christina, passing away at a very young age in her 40s. And in like 25 years or less, she had put together like a very impressive career in the music business. And I know there was probably some family drama that was and was not public. And people are like in the comments on Facebook just shouting out their private dirty laundry. Like, it's a difficult time for the family. Don't tag Gloria and Max on their personal pages in a story about this. They know she's passed. I can't imagine what it must be like to bury a child. It must be horrible. So, I just can't even imagine, how that even would go. So, be a little more thoughtful. You don't need to come in the comments and be arguing about like whether she was family and close with them or not. Like, it's just dumb. You just look like a dummy. You seem like a dickhead. I don't understand why you would do this. I don't fucking understand it. But anyway, act appropriately. Everything is on fire. Act appropriately. Some other losses in the world this week. Robert Duvall, 95 years old, legendary actor. Most people know him from The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. He was one of the toughest and most prolific, greatest actors of our lifetime. Guy was incredible. He had a tremendous and profound impact on the film industry. And, directors were said to have, he challenged them at their craft sometimes. Again, I think about Dennis Hopper, some of my favorite actors of all time, just worked. And Duvall is one of those guys. Very sad. I know he lived a full life. He certainly had a great life. Also kind of really sad to me, maybe a much more underground actor, but no less great in my book, Tom Noonan. Here he is as Kelso in Heat. He always had a way as sort of a, occasionally leading man, but mostly as a character actor. And he had a way of taking over a movie with his presence. This one scene where he's he's in a wheelchair and he's giving this score to De Niro's, Macaulay character. He was so good. Monster Squad, X-Files, he had countless roles where he was incredible. And I think Last Action Hero, right? He was the bad guy. So just, what a terrible loss. I think he died after a long illness at his home, which super sucks. Just sucks. Thank you, Gabe. Rip indeed. Here's a few more this week. Shutaro Ida, who invented Castlevania, died, and pretty young, actually. About my age, maybe a little younger. Very sad. 52 years old. Another passing this week. Hideki Sato. If you played Sega or Coleco in the 80s, this was the guy who made all these Sega Vision and Sega consoles. He literally invented them. And later what would become the Dreamcast. He lived 76 years old. Very, very sad that he passed away. Giants of our childhood are leaving us. I don't know what to do. On a better note, celebrating a birthday today is the great godfather of metal, Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. He's got a solo album coming out soon. Also born this week in metal, Dave Lombardo, formerly of Slayer, currently of Mr. Bungle and a bunch of other bands. Taylor Hawkins would have celebrated a birthday this week. Also celebrating a birthday this week, both LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow and Star Trek The Next Generation, as well as Geordie LaForge. They share a birthday 3,000 years apart. Pretty fun. Just kind of fun. And also this week in metal history, a couple of factoids. Bon Scott died of basically died after a night of drinking. They put him in his car to sober him up, and he died. Very, very sad. And I believe they would have hired Brian Johnson a few months later. I know that dates are argued about or whatever. And also 10 years ago, that's just more than 10 years ago, it's like 13 years ago this week, Megadeth's Gigantor, which had many editions, but I went to this one. This date is not the date that I went to, but it was Megadeth, Motorhead, Volbeat, who was kind of a brand new band 10, 15 years ago, and Lacuna Coil. Rob Zombie releases next week The Great Satan, which is an inarguably fantastic title at this time in the world. That Rob Zombie's album is called The Great Satan. I'm not sure how good the record's going to be. I should go do maybe a live stream review of it next week. But yeah, Gigantor, I had a lot of fun. Obviously photographed Motorhead 3 times, photographed Lacuna Coil that time, Volbeat early on. They have a different band kind of now, band members. And Megadeth. The name Megadeth was great. I think that was the Chris Broderick, Sean Drover on the drums Megadeth with Ellefson back in the band. Now departed. We'll talk about Dave Ellefson a little bit later. So just a reminder, if you're new here and you're feeling tipsy, Gabe, thank you already for the payment earlier. Again, super nice. You will always answer your questions free. This is your show as well as it's mine. I often say in a lot of my interviews privately to artists, like, hey, this is your interview too. And, I want you to get something out of it. So if you got a question about any of the stories we talk about, if you got some news you want to ask about, if I missed something, if there's something on your mind, drop a comment, preferably on YouTube or here on TikTok, or let's see if anybody's watching on the gram. Let's see. You got a few people. Let's see. Bootsy Salazar, RCS84, Art in Revolt is a regular. Jeff Guard, what up, what up? T. Feded and Lilith on Stage have all passed by on the Instagram. But drop a comment, join the club, join the conversation. There's our Cash App in case you want to drop some Cash App at Ghost Cult Mag on Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all the things. Ko-fi. Buy us a coffee on Ko-fi. There's your things. And now it's time for some features here at Ghost Cult. Here, I'll put myself back on the screen. Hey, it's me. We ran a brand new interview with the band Friendship Commanders. Don DeLamont did that interview. Great band, put a record out last fall on the very fine folks at Magnetic Eye Records label. You've seen us interview a lot of their bands. There's some of their bands that have broken up in the time the labels existed, and I'm saddened by this, but Friendship Commanders, killer new album. Their album is called Bear, B-E-A-R. And check out our interview with Buick and Joe from Nashville. Their album was produced by Kurt Ballou of Converge, who has a new album out after last week. So real fun. And then just a reminder, some of our recent interviews, and we have some huge ones coming up, but some of our recent interviews include Mark Mengi of King Ultra Mega and Metal Allegiance, the band 84 Days, which features members of Pennywise and super producer Cameron. Trigger finger itchy. Also David J of Bauhaus. I interviewed him about his new solo project. Really fun, really great. Kind of a bucket list type interview. Was really happy to get it. Let's see. You got a few more. Just check us out. We also have a podcast. The show will be a podcast. Also, because I don't have enough to do, my other podcast, the Glacially Musical Podcast. We had a Chaser episode in between series. We just wrapped up our recent series on Dio. We're starting a new series on Megadeth next week. I've been on a huge Megadeth kick today. Listen to like 5 records and an EP. And so we did a Chaser episode for a deep dive on Record Store Day. As a vinyl collector and aficionado, I do get some stuff sent to me. I'm hopeful that a few things from the list will get sent to me early to review and unbox and do some content around. But we really dive deep into Record Store Day. But I'm going to do an additional, you should check out the Glacial Musical Podcast. But additionally, I'm going to do a separate Record Store Day solo video just on the channel for Ghost Cult, specifically about my picks for Record Store Day, what I'm going to buy. And Megadeth, by the way, spoiler alert, there's a Megadeth release on Record Store Day you need to have if you love thrash metal. But yeah, we're going to talk all about that. I can't wait. And again, this show's a podcast. All our shows are, again, eventually become podcasts. We have some exclusive podcast interview stuff coming next week. The great Warren Haynes interview by Don DeLamont. I'm so stoked for that, Ron. If you know classic rock, you know who Warren Haynes is. And then I just thought this was hilarious. Sudden spike in vaginal dryness attributed to RFK and Kid Rock. The least manly thing I can ever fucking think of is these two guys working out in a sauna. What in the actual fuck is going on with this country? Holy shit. Anyway, and now it's time for the news rundown. And let's talk about some metal festivals. Metal festival time. Let's go. The Revenant is 10 years old this year, by the way. I am getting old. All right. Bourbon and Beyond was announced today. We've covered it a couple of times. Not exactly metal, but rock. Foo Fighters, Mumford & Sons, Chris Stapleton, great singer. Dave Matthews Band, not a big fan. Queens of the Stone Age, Casey Musgraves, the Red Clay Strays, Hootie and the Blowfish, and a bunch of other artists. Usually a good time. It's the week after Louder Than Life, most weeks. So it's 2 weeks in a row at the Kentucky Expo Center in Louisville. It's food, it's whiskey, it's beer. It's usually a great time. We have covered it before a couple of times. So it's another Danny Wimmer festival. We're getting announcements about Louder Than Life. We're getting some leaks about Rockville. And I do believe the Aftershock lineup is coming completely on March the 3rd, although Down already leaked that they're playing it. So kind of fun. All right, Warped Tour continues to add new bands. We'll do the full Warped Tour rundown for all the dates once they're announced. Maybe we'll do a little live stream highlighting some festivals this spring. Washington, D.C. in June, Long Beach, California in July, Montreal in August, Mexico City, Mexico in September, and Orlando, Florida in November. Hopefully we'll get to cover that. Mojave Experience is coming up in exactly 1 month in Joshua Tree, California, Earthless, Dead Meadow, and a bunch of other bands. That's going to be great. Friday night at Mojave Gold and Saturday all day at Joshua Tree Park Band Shell. Super sick. We'll be doing more content and interviews and stuff with those bands and the founder soon. Milwaukee Metal Fest is coming up soon. I might finally get to see Macabre. Every time I'm supposed to see them, either something comes up and I can't go or they cancel. I've never seen them. They're one of my favorite death metal bands of all time. And, you know, they're a little old school death metal-y. They're not as technical as some other bands, but one of my absolute favorite, most charming and brilliant bands. And I've never seen them, and they are on this show. So among all the awesome bands on this bill, I would be almost most excited to see them. So fingers crossed for me that I get to do this. Also, again, coming up in the summer, this is moved around between summer and fall, might go in Orlando. Dude, you might. Body Count, Pup, and Face to Face are doing Camp Punksylvania. This is the full lineup now. We've interviewed about half this lineup in the past. We might go cover it. We shall see. Also, All Points East and Outbreak Festival, which is a London-based festival of punk and metal, is being headlined by Deftones. Very exciting stuff where Deftones continue to have a stellar banger couple of years. We also know they're co-headlining Sick New World, which we are covering in Vegas officially, as well as hopefully Texas in the fall. This looks dope. Grand Paris Sludge Festival. Coven, you know how much of big fans of Coven we are here, and Truck Fighters are your headliners with a bunch of other bands. Hopefully more bands to be announced soon. I believe this is taking place in May, 23rd and 24th of May in Europe. I don't know if you're a big Wilco fan, but Wilco and Jeff Tweedy have their own festival at Mass Mocha, which is kind of a museum compound in Western Massachusetts. And we've covered that once a long time ago. So they've announced their big, it's usually singer-songwriters, indie folk, Americana, really interesting stuff. Billy Bragg, Wilco, Jeff Tweedy solo, Hannah Cohen, Joe Firestone, Gang of Four, whatever passes for Gang of Four. Kind of fun. Looks really fun. Wacken Metal Battle, which is the battle of the bands across the world to play at Wacken. We are media partners of this festival. They're every major city in America and all through Europe. They just announced some of the rounds. New York is taking place March 13th and 14th for the preliminaries, and then there's sort of a semifinals and a finals. And then all the bands go up against each other. They pick one city, and all the bands converge and battle it out to get a slot at Wacken. Cruise to the Edge. I usually put cruises in with festivals because it's kind of a festival on the water. If you're a nerd and a dork like I am and you love progressive rock, Cruise to the Edge 2026 features Marillion and Steve Hackett. Steve Hackett, formerly of Genesis, Big Big Train, Eddie Jobson, Symphony X, Adrian Belew, Hawken, a whole bunch of bands. So this looks really like a lot of fun. Also, this looks really cool. Dark Lord Day, May 16th in Munster, Indiana. I don't know what would bring me to Munster, Indiana, but maybe these bands. Napalm Death, Midnight, Dead Guy, Crimp Sermon, and more bands to be announced at Three Floyds Brewing, one of the best metal breweries in the world. And they're celebrating 10 years this year. I love those guys. Really good beer. I had their beer at Decibel Metal and Beer Fest once. It was fantastic. All right, that's all the festivals. Let's do some concert news. Just a kind of shout out to my local scene. The Castro Theater in the Castro neighborhood of San Francisco is an iconic Art Deco theater that has been a movie house for over 100 years. They celebrated their 100th year. They reopened briefly. I saw Goblin there, play Suspiria live. They had some movies, and then they closed down for further renovations. And one of the big outlets here that promotes concerts. So you have Live Nation that has their hands in everything, and they have AEG or Access, AXS, if you buy tickets through them. Those are your two biggest things. But regionally, Golden Voice and APE are two other ones. We mentioned the contest giveaway with Golden Voice. Another Planet Entertainment took over the Castro, and I think in the remodel there was like a vehement pushback by the neighbors to like, hey, this needs to continue to exist as a movie house. So some of the negotiation is that 50 days of the year will still show movies, especially indie and queer films and your alphabet folks, because that's the neighborhood. If you ever seen the movie Milk or the Harvey Milk documentary, that's his neighborhood that he represented. And it is the iconic, gay neighborhood of, all of San Francisco is basically an alphabet town, but the Castro is wonderful, lovely, great, safe, amazing. And so the theater reopened. They have a month-long residency by Sam Smith. Maybe not Ghost Cult Fair, but he's a wonderful singer. And then they've been showing the Frameline Queer Film Festival has been taking over the theater for some off days. So I'm just really happy that this theater is back. I do hope they have some more concerts, and I hope they still have underground movies. It'd be really great to see some more stuff there. Ghost continues and will be wrapping up their Skeletor this weekend in Sacramento tomorrow night and LA on Saturday. I will be in Sacramento tomorrow night with my girlfriend Melissa to see the show. I'll give you a full report later. Chad Gray of Mudvayne has announced some additional songs. Chad Gray playing 30 Years of Madness, playing the songs from Mudvayne, and hell yeah, the more successful this solo thing is, the lesser chance there is that Mudvayne will come back. Yes, did Nine Inch Nails score Queer on, is that HBO or Netflix, Gabe? I think they did. That's what's his face? James Bond there is the actor there. Daniel Craig. Ice Out is a concert happening this weekend. Stand with Minnesota benefits show in Chicago. Scott Lucas of Local H, Deanna Bellos, a.k.a. Sincere Engineer, Josh Carter, Stubby Panda, and Pat Gilroy. All proceeds will go to Minnesota relief efforts. And I love Scott Lewis of Local H, who's like a very prominent Twitter person. LD50, brother, yeah. I never got to see the Mudvayne reunion, so I'm really bummed. Hopefully it comes back, but I'm not so sure. But yeah, Scott Lucas was like, yep, if you don't like it, fuck off. I thought that was wonderful. Norwood Fisher, the original and co-founding bassist of Fishbone, is not with the band in their current lineup. We talked the last few years about Fishbone having kind of a separation between Dirty Walter Kibbe and some of their original members, and Fisher is off the band right now. Fishbone continues to put out new music. They got a new album coming out again. So Fisher is doing a Hawaii residency with all his different bands that represent different parts of his career. So I if I lived on the Big Islands, I would go. but super fun artwork. Kind of looks like a Hokusai, right? Tidal wave of Norwood with his one dread and his beard. The guy you've seen me with my fishbone shirt. He invented the claw technique, the slap claw. He invented it. I know we were just talking about Mudvayne and the Berber ding of everything, but Norwood is my man. He is so good, so great, so inspirational. Seen him twice. Yeah, I love Fishbone. We saw them in 2024 at the No Values Festival, which I wish would come back, but doesn't seem like it will. Dead Pony is a band out of the UK, rock metalcore band. They have a new summer tour they've announced. Their new album is coming out soon. COC has announced dates. They have their brand new double album coming out, and we'll be talking a little bit more about COC later in the show, but they have announced UK and European dates for later this year. So very exciting stuff for COC, one of my favorite bands. This is kind of fun. It's the 3rd anniversary of the Punk Rock Museum, which I went to in its founding year. Spike and the Gimme Gimmes, or the all-star cover band of punks. Kate Clover, who's kind of like a Sincere Engineer type artist. XCOM, which is the band that features Revel Ian, the son of Scott Ian and Pearl Ade, on drums, and a bunch of other bands all day are in the parking lot to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the Punk Rock Museum. I know Rollins is opening a punk rock museum in Nashville. Something will have to get me to go to Nashville. I wouldn't mind doing like 2 days in Nashville and the Punk Museum. I don't need to be there that much. Ricky Rackman, I was talking about this last week. He continues his solo One Foot in the Gutter, spoken word show. That's like his one-man show, talking about his life and music. The Cat House, Headbangers Ball, NASCAR, all the things. He rides from city to city on his motorcycle with his partner Leah Vendetta. And so Kannapolis, North Carolina, this weekend, maybe Monday, sorry. So this is ahead of next week, in case you could go. Harrison, Ohio, West Dundee, Illinois, Milwaukee, the Good Land, Algonquin for the Good Land, Mahomet, Illinois, it's near Chicago, Green Bay, Bloomington, and Wyandotte, Michigan. Good Terms is a rock band. Hell yeah, brother. Highway to the hell yeah. What a weird name. Good Terms has a huge amount of tour dates coming up. Check them out if you like some punk rock. Amon Clock is kicking off soon. Stay tuned for my new interview with Brendan Small. Yes, another interview with Brendan Small. That guy loves us. We love him. I know we've interviewed Def Clock like more than any other band lately. But yeah, Monomarth and Def Clock with support from Castle Rat coming up this spring. Also, the homies in Casket Robbery are celebrating 10 years of endless I can't read what that says because I cannot read it. But Casket Robbery celebrating their anniversary, kicking off in Lincoln, Nebraska soon in March. There's VIPs and stuff there. Some of the coolest, nicest people ever. We've interviewed them a lot. We did a giveaway with them. We premiered their videos in the past. I worked with them also in the music business way back in the day. I love this just because I cannot read this poster. Butcher and Booking presents Gutting North America Tour. To the Vile Embowelment or something, and a bunch of other bands I cannot read. 500cc. Please help yourselves make clear things. Spineshank. Speaking of my 1990s new metal and 2000s new metal fascination, Spineshank is going on tour, and they are playing the entire Height of Callousness album, which is 25 years old this year. Holy shit. Great band. I was a big fan of Strictly Diesel and the Height of Callousness. Sebastian Bach, once again, interview coming up soon. He is going on tour, the Party Never Ends tour, playing all of his hits. So that's kind of cool. Once again, tip menu reminder, Skeleton Witch. I haven't heard anything about them in a while. I would love for them to make a comeback, but I think like the brothers are on the outs, and I just don't see that being a band. They had kind of a new lineup with Adam from Wolfhammer. I don't know if you remember that new album. It was extremely black and heavy. I think I gave it a 9, and I give very few 9s and almost no 10s in my whole career as a journalist. But I was a big Skeleton Witch fan, man. The shirt and album artwork by John from Baroness. Such a killer band. Such a killer band. I miss them. All right, just a reminder, I don't have any of the products with me, but if you want to rock your beard and your hair care routine like I do, you want to get hooked up with Fable Beard or Fable Beauty. their brand for femmes. If you sign up with our link in the description, you get $10 off your first order, and we get free Fable Beard merch. Pretty cool. Also, we are part of the Lamb Goat Media Network. When you see ads on our website at ghostcoatmag.com, that is through Lamb Goat. Check them out if you have a band or a brand or a store and you want to get some ads. Also, shout out to my homie, our Break Under Glass. I know we had some website problems this week, but it wasn't Craig Caruso's fault. Craig Caruso of Caruso Apps. I honestly would not go into business without having him and having my back, because it's just too crazy to be out there without any help. And again, this, except for y'all on TikTok, this is coming to you from the magic of StreamYard. Rubber Band Man, what's up, what's up, what's up? Good to see you, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. All righty. The best experience for this, once again, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch. Follow us and we'll follow you back. That's all the things. All right. I'll shrink this down a little bit. Let's do the news. The rest of the news. The big story. Will they or won't they? Arch Enemy announced Lauren Hart, formerly of Once Human, as their brand new vocalist, put out a kick-ass song, To the Last Breath, which is kind of funny because one of my bands had a song called Last Breath. She's an incredible singer, great person. I don't know if this clarifies that why Elisa left or not. It doesn't really. No questions have been answered. I know she started to give some press about why maybe she's out of the band, like, you know, whatever, how it was handled. But we just don't know. I mean, Lauren is a very similar singer to Elisa. Elisa maybe has, you know, a more operatic voice, and Lauren is clearly a lot, you know, like equally heavy on the growls, maybe even a step back toward Angela. Several people were like, could not believe the voice that came out of her. Of course, people are going to try to sexualize the photos of her. They did the same thing with Elisa, who does not like that either. Angela is the reason Angela retired is because Revolver put her in the hottest chicks in metal thing. And, you know, she was really angry about that. She wants to be respected on her own merits as a singer and just could not get there. But I'm excited. New chapter for Arch Enemy. They did announce some tour dates, which I did not mention in the tour dates, but they have some tour dates in Europe. I think a tour date in China. And very excited. Like, if they're going to take a step back, it's the 25th. Like I said, it was the 25th anniversary of Wages of Sin this year. Maybe they will do that album like as a standalone full album playthrough. I know it's kind of trendy or whatever, but I think it would be great. I don't think they can go on and not do some of the material. Elisa was in the band for 11 years and 4 albums. They're not going to just ignore that stuff. I will tell you, some people called me out and were like, you know, you got it wrong. Maybe you should do a thing about it. And I was like, everybody got it wrong. I would say Angela gave us a lot of reason to hope that, you know, like, you can't fault me as a metal fan for hoping that she would return to music. And I will say, over the last couple of years, she's done 3 or 4 features where she sang. She posted a lot of vocal warm-ups and stuff on Instagram where she was growling. They tagged her in the post. And I was like, mate, why? They've never tagged her in a post in all these years. They've never tagged her since she's been out of the band. Now they tagged her in a post. So, you know, if we all got carried away in the music world and thought maybe she's coming back or coming back for a reunion tour, like a hits tour, you know, you can't fault me. We all wanted that. I don't, you know, like I do. I feel bad. Do I feel bad? It's part of the game she needs to learn, or it's just an excuse. You talking about Angela? Or I think they did it on purpose. I think they tagged her knowing we would all get hype. And then they had obviously planned. Lauren has been shot a music video and recorded a new song. We didn't hear anything about the band since their last tour ended last summer. So I think they knew what they were doing. I'm not mad about it. I'm just making a point that they did this, you know? They did this. They did this on purpose. There's no question. Evil Rob, what's up? What's up? Good to see you. It's been a long time, man. Derek Youngsma, what's up? What's up? So yeah, just good luck to Lauren. Good luck to Arch Enemy. And again, I think they all gave us false hope, but I'm not mad at them, and I don't think people should be mad at us, fans and journalists, because, like, what else am I supposed to conclude from that? We had no inkling about who they were going to name. Somebody dropped a comment on our YouTube that was like, "Oh, I recognized her fingers from the fingerless gloves and her picking up the microphone off the floor." Even some of the language in the teaser post is part of the game Hottest Singer. I know she hates that shit though. She absolutely hated being called hot or whatever. You know, she wants to be tough and strong and powerful and, you know, not liked because she's attractive. But what are you going to do? This is really great. So Fat Tuesday was this week in February. Mardi Gras is underway in New Orleans. It was Fat Tuesday, and literally the city was overrun by a group of people dressed as Ozzy in black wigs and the little John Lennon sunglasses. And this just like warms my blackened little heart, man. This is just so fun and great. I think taking LSD got to handle your trip. Indeed, bro. Indeed. But I was so happy. BBC reported on this. This photo is from their video clip of it. A whole bunch of Aussies took over New Orleans. That is drunk Aussies. I can't think of a better thing. You know, I know there's a petition on to get like an airport renamed for him and Aussie Day. I really would rather his birthday be the Aussie Day than his death day. Again, I not to divulge too much here, but I was in therapy earlier today. And I was talking about my relationship. Thanks, Eva Rob. I got beard products from Fable Beard if you're down. You know, DM me, bro. We haven't talked in a long time, and I miss you. And I know you're, you know, it's not easy out there. I know you might be struggling, but I care about you. And, you know, it's all love, bro. But I wanted to say I was talking to my therapist earlier today, and I was talking about my relationship to people passing away, whether it's heroes or family members. And really the most important thing, and I learned this from a little bit of religiosity that I got driven into me, is that I want to remember people how they lived and honor them when they pass and not make the passing of them the worst part of it. It's bad. It's hard. There's a rule book. They say there's no rule book for dealing with death. There is. You know, it's the 5 Stages of Grief by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Maris of Thrace did a whole album about it last year that I love. Now he has his revenge, exactly. But, you know, I want to remember people how they lived and that they lived and that I was lucky to live in the same time. So I lived in the time of David Lynch and Ozzy and Kubrick and Poe, maybe not in his lifetime, but you know what I'm saying? I got to experience these things that are really meaningful. And Kevin Smith, even, like things that are very powerful and in Star Wars and Star Trek and everything. Speaking of Star Trek, I did not have this on my fucking bucket list for 2026. William Shatner has made a metal album with 35 rock and metal all-stars. What the fuck? I know Christopher Lee had a series of metal albums, including a metal Christmas album. He was a huge metalhead. And he loved Black Sabbath and Priest and stuff like that and Iron Maiden. And Shatner is now putting together a metal record with him on vocals. There was a picture of him that his daughter took of him with like a guitar. He looked like the most uncomfortable guitar pose I've ever seen, ever. But like, you know, Shatner had music records in the 70s. And I did put like Star Trek in some of the posts because like people don't know who he is by his name, but they obviously know his face and his voice. And obviously Star Trek, TJ Hooker, Boston Legal, Priceline.com. Like, I can't wait to hear. I hope it's originals, but I also hope it's covers. Henry Rollins, Richie Blackmore, Zakk Wylde are all on this record. A few more people have been announced. Cleopatra Records, who has Ministry and a bunch of other things. Our homie Steve Zing's bands are on that album. But I just can't wait to hear, like, you know, him in the studio with like his buddy Rollins, who's a personal friend of his. Henry, please get on the mic and rock it. I love this photo of him. It's like, let's open up this Starfleet base. Yeah, seriously, that's a legit story. William Shatner metal album 2026. I could not make this shit up, but I'm here for all of it. And yes, I love Star Trek almost equally to Star Wars. I like Star Wars just a little bit more, but I watched so much Star Trek in my life. And Battlestar Galactica, the OG and the new one, and Space 1999, and everything else. Red Dwarf. Real G's, no Red Dwarf. Youngblood. Youngblood is having like quite the last year of his life. I'll pass. Youngblood, who is currently about to launch a tour in Europe to support his album Idols that came out last year, is dropping a surprise EP tomorrow, Idols 2, with 6 new songs. So I think we're going to get like a single and a video, and then that's to promote the tour. We'll be probably bring you the news of that overnight. But what an interesting time. Did the collab EP with Aerosmith, did not like it. Obviously, his Grammy win for his cover of Changes with Nuno Betancourt and Frank Bello, and 2 from Sleep Token. Pretty amazing. I heard like my first ever someone doing Sleep Token at karaoke this week. And pretty amazing. Oh, Jorge from my band is here on the gram. What up, brother? I already talked about Lauren as the new singer of Arch Enemy, but it was super cool to see you the other night. Thank you for those earbuds. I'm going to use them tomorrow at Ghost. So yeah, Youngblood, man. Youngblood, new EP, big concert tour, more stuff coming probably. I know that people seem to not like him or finding faults with him. I don't know that he's an industry plant. I hear that word thrown around so much. I don't think it has much meaning anymore, but like he sincerely loves rock and heavy metal. Ozzy sincerely did love and appreciate him. And I think we got to like just give him a little bit of a, give him a chance to grow into. He just came out. I saw him years ago at Aftershock here in Sacramento near me. And he was on like a small stage with nobody watching him. And like 4 years later, here he is rocking the shit all over the world. So good for him. David Bowie needs to rest in peace. I hear you, man. There's 2 David Bowie records coming out for Record Store Day. I'm very excited. You're tired of Bowie divers. I hear you, bro. A lot of people aping the shit. But like, Bowie, his covers. Yeah, people are going to, just cover their heroes forever. All right, moving on. This was hella interesting. Failure has a brand new album coming out. We knew the last couple of years. I had an interview with Ken of Failure. That documentary, Every Time You Lose Your Mind, is out now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Interestingly enough, some of the people who were in that documentary are on their new album, clearly recorded while they were in the studio. So there's a team-up song with Hayley Williams, who's a Paramore, who's a huge fan. Maybe Maynard shows up on this album on a track because he loves them and has covered them. So super interesting. And Failure is kind of the band that, like should have been Tool big. They didn't get that big, but because of drugs and things. But like Failure is one of my favorite bands. So super stoked for a new Failure album. This was fun. This is like the Brady Bunch thing. It looks like Tomahawk is reuniting. Mike Patton's Tomahawk. We see Trevor Dunn and Patton. Patton's been busy. He's been on tour with Mr. Bungle. He opened up for Avenged Sevenfold in South America. I wonder what he thought of them. Probably not much. Tomahawk, along with Phantomos, are these projects that live in the minds of people. They had a run and then they broke up, and like maybe it's time to come back. So Tomahawk apparently booking a tour. Every band but Faith No More Patton is doing. So sad. I read that Roddy Bottom book. Really broke my heart. Yeah, insane and crazy life. Exodus has a new song out. They released the title track of their upcoming new album, Goliath, on Napalm Records. Really a surprising song. Very heavy and slow. Kind of reminded me again of those Rob Dukes Atrocity Exhibition A and B albums. Very groove heavy, like a slow Metallica or Pantera groove. Machine Head even. Exodus is an originator of thrash. If I make it big, I'm never covering a dead artist. Mark my words. I got you, bro. I got you. So yeah, Exodus, certainly much better than the first song that was released, but I really feel like that song's like an intro song. An intro song. Yep, mark my words. I understand what you meant, Gabe. 3111 is an intro song to me. It's like half a song. But this Goliath song is a nasty bit of work, man. Good for them. I'm looking forward to more. Speaking of Tool and Maynard, Tool, in an interview with Danny Carey, Tool is working on a new album. At least they've been writing it. And the hope is they're going to have a new album out before the end of 2027. And then Danny was like, we really like to do the Sphere. We've been talking about it. Nothing is set in stone, but we'd like to do it. When an artist says we'd like to do it, that means discussions are being had. Can you imagine Tool doing the Sphere? I'm already psyched about seeing Metallica there, but like imagine Tool doing the Sphere. It's going to be so sick. I'm here for it. This photo is worth blowing up for a second. This is Tool shot by Isabel. Oh, I lost one of my lights because I've been on trying to do this show for 2 hours. Almost done anyway. Isabel's category shot this thing. Look at this fantastic show. One of the rare shots of sort of the entire, almost the whole band, and Maynard kind of hiding in the back there, which is dope. All right. Let's see. This is kind of wild. I don't know if anybody here beside me is watching the TV show Industry but it is delicious and evil. It is so fun. Judy Collins, Both Sides Now, was featured at the end of the pivotal episode 6 of the series. There's 2 more. I think there's 2 more, or 7. There's 2 more left, I think. Judy Collins, Both Sides Now, was also featured in Mad Men. It's usually used in commercials. And it was originally written by Joni Mitchell, but it's the first song ever Judy Collins recorded, because in the 60s, especially in the 70s, if somebody had a hit and you wanted to get a hit too, you put out a cover of somebody's hit. I love the original OG Elektra Records logo and label from the vinyl single. Super fun. Let me know if you're watching Industry. What a deliciously crazy show. Fucking crazy. I love that show. Similar to Succession. Black Queen. Andrew's not here. We've been talking about this a lot. Andrew is not here. Dillinger Compound. Reign of Zayas, what up? Long time no see. PJ Oppie is here. So, Black Queen is the band from Steven Alexander, former guitar tech of Nine Inch Nails, as well as Greg Puciato, formerly of Dillinger Escape Plan and Better Lovers. I know there's been some drama online and some stuff coming out about Greg. He's not exactly canceled, but there's some weird shit going on. And the Black Queen is doing a 10-year anniversary tour for Infinite Games. I'm a big fan. I'm so excited. Hopefully going to be some more new music later in the year. Love the Black Queen. Primus is doing a comic book graphic novel with Z2 Comics for Frizzle Fry. Very exciting stuff. Big Primus fan. If you know, you know. Primus sucks. They don't, but they do. That's their catchphrase. Propane is back, one of the New York hardcore metal juggernauts. Just a lot of feels for me in the 90s right now. Propane signed to Napalm Records, announced a new record, dropped a brutal new single. These guys look like a bunch of, this is the poster for Divorced Dads. That's this band. If Divorced Dads could be a band, it would be this band. But I do love them. This one kind of hurts. Metal Church is a band I grew up listening to. Thrash metal, heavy metal, great band. They've had the misfortune of having 2 singers pass away. And my homie, Mark Lopes of Ross the Boss Band and Let Us Pray, was singing for them for a couple years, did an album with them. And then they never toured. And they just kind of announced a new album and a new band with a new singer who is not my homie. So he was kind of blindsided. He didn't find out till they made the announcement. I know David Ellefson joined the band, which is dope, but not too happy with this. But I heard the first single, new singer's good. Just kind of, bad breaks, bad news, My Dying Bride news. I know Aaron is not coming back to the band. That's devastating to me, but they're going to keep going with Miko from Swallow the Sun, I guess. And Aaron is booking gigs where he's doing My Dying Bride music. So now we have 2 My Dying Brides. Wonderful. Just what we needed. Yay. Yay and hooray. Let's see. Also, Necrogoblicon has a new single out and a new EP coming out. Melvins and Napalm Death, not to be outdunned. Hey, Harold, what's up? Thanks for being here on TikTok. Not being outdone by their last EP together that sold out immediately last year. I was so mad. They are now doing a full-length Savage Imperial album. They've done 2 Savage Imperial tours. I suspect there will be a 3rd later this year. Melvins, I knew they were going to drop something this year. Really cool. Terrible shame about My Dying Bride. Absolutely, bro. Harold on TikTok, tell us what kind of metal and music you like, if any. And Aaron. Yeah, Aaron, absolutely, bro. Also, Sun Don't Shine, probably the album I am most excited for this entire year. New song from Sun Don't Shine, full-length album coming out soon from our homies at Corpse Paint Records. No doubt we will get another interview with Kirk or Winstein or Johnny Kelly or Kenny Hickey. Also, one of my heroes from the 80s, Martha Quinn, is celebrating 40 years in radio this week, W103.7 FM in California. So super stoked for her. Everybody from the 80s had a crush on Martha Quinn in the early 90s. She was the little hippie chick sister you wish you could get involved with. Omar Corney, the co-owner of Ghost Cult, here at Fashion Week, where he was working tech. And Miss Universe, you know her from a couple of months ago, where her talent portion of the Miss Universe contest was her death metal singing, and people were like, "What?" And she won. So she actually appeared at Fashion Week, and Omar pulled her aside and was like, "Hey, let's get a photo. I have a metal website, so maybe you'll be seeing an interview coming soon from there, from her and him. That'd be kind of fun." So yeah, I just wanted everybody to see that awesome photo. Let There Be Rock Schools is a new venture by Brandon Yeagley of Crowbot. Crowbot's an awesome band. We interviewed them not that long ago, and big fan of them. And Jason is partnering up with Music Education in his hometown of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, in eastern Pennsylvania. Love that. I'd love to talk to him about that soon. Poison the Well dropped another new single. Very excited about the comeback of the post-hardcore legends. This should be fresh. Record Store Day, talked again just about it. Check out the Glacially Musical podcast tonight and tomorrow. We can do a deep dive on what Record Store Day is all about and also what to do. I will also be doing some more content about Record Store Day here on the channel. I just wanted to keep it in your minds. And then some homies from back home, Extinction AD, Long Island thrash longtime band, has signed with M Theory Audio for their new album. And they dropped a new single and video. This is, I think once a week, I'm going to make this a new favorite thing. My favorite tweet of the week is from the band Allfather from the UK homies. Loving me some heavy metal tonight. Fight bigots, obey the riff. Well said. We retweeted that, as did a lot of people. So, very cool. All right. That means the news is over, and it's time for New Music Friday. I mean, quite a big, busy New Music Friday today. So I am going to see if I can today I'm going to skip playing anything in the interest of time and hunger, and I'm just going to read through the list. And again, all these, there'll be a post tonight. Every week we preview early in the week with a video and links, and then on Friday we redo the post with all the buy and stream links where you can support bands, because that's kind of where we started and that's where we're at. So really quick. Abstracted, High Wraith on M Theory Recordings for some death metal. Aeon Gods, Reborn of Light on Scarlet Records for some metal. Among Ruins, Advent of Chaos on Thigonia Records for some death metal. Brahman Shiras, Triniite on Caligari Records for some death metal. Clawfinger, the return of the British rap metal greats. Before We All Die on Perception Records, that's owned by RPM Music. Clive Nolan, The Mortal Light on Crime Records. Crowan, Through the Dying Mist EP on Inverse Records. Daedalus, Dante on Rock Shots Records. Dark Lore, The Great Elven War for some elf metal. It sounds like Lord of the Rings shit. Death of Youth, Nothing is the Same Anymore. Sell the Heart Records. Dissentience, Kaiju EP, great thrash metal band from Pennsylvania and New Jersey, produced by Corey of God Forbid. Dumbhane, In Perfect Stillness. These Hands Melt Records, one of my favorite names. Dusk, Bunker for some doom metal. Eye of Melion, Forest of Forgetting on Napalm Records. The Magus, Daemonosphomia on Circle Records. Michael Monroe, the great glam rock singer. Outer Stellar, Silver Lining Music. Mothica, Somewhere in Between EP on Sharptone Records. I've listened to that. Amazing. Necromicon Ex Mortis, Zombie Blood Nightmare EP. Great band. Nitland, I've interviewed them on the channel before. Fans of Wardruna and Heilung, check out Nitland. Abba Khan on Prophecy Productions. Phasma, Purgatory on Transcending Obscurity for some death metal. Random Hearts, Love PTSD on M. Surrett Records. Soul of Anubis, Ritual on Time to Kill Records for some death metal. Suplex, Hymns Under a Blood Red Sky and Ripple Music for some stoner doom. Silosis, great progressive tech death band from the UK. The New Flesh on Nuclear Blast Records. Temple Balls, boy, I really have no light anymore happening in this room. It's all gone. Temple Ball, self-title on Frontiers SRL. The Veer Union, Reinvention on a Rising Empire. I'm going to be in witness protection soon. We All Rise, Beginning of the End on Golden Robot Records. And Zon, Purpur on Crazy Sane Records. Zon's a great noise rock band. And so now it's time for the mailbag. So let's just quickly, just in big and me, do our best here, folks. I'm doing my best. I got a cool thing in the mailbag this week. So speaking of COC, They dropped a new single. They have pre-orders live for their new double album. Is it true that November's Doom has a Metallica members? They do not, that I know of. Soul of Anubis, not bad. So I got some mail from Nuclear Blast Records. COC has launched a new website and a web store to promote their new album, and I got their brand new single. It's kind of weird that Down and COC put out a brand new single on the same day, but Corrosion of Conformity, Give Me Some More, Moore, like Stanton Moore, and a cover of I Love Living in the City by Fear, which is one of my favorite punk rock bands ever. So, first of all, I got this koozie, Run COC, the King of the Rotten, like instead of the King of Rock. And then there's like some rap written on the back that it's too dark in here to read now. But let me try to quickly open this vinyl and see if this is a especially cool vinyl. Make sure I don't damage the fucking thing. I'm trying to rip it open. There we go. Adult proof, my favorite. Ugh, so hungry. All right. Let's do the damn thing. So this is really cool. There's a back cover with like pictures of them as little kids. And the front cover is like a very COC recent new logo with the stamp. And it's looks like an eagle with the COC mask on, clutching a bottle of whiskey. Jesus Christ. All right. Oh, cool. In the little baby sleeve with the Mylar in the sleeve. That's some high-class shit right there. And then, smells interesting. Oh, and it's on a plain old black vinyl. So here's Give Me Some More, backed with I Love Living in the City. Super stoked to jam this one. I love COC. Probably between Sun Don't Shine, COC, Seven Dust, Lamb of God, Gojira, Mastodon. It's going to be a tremendous year for heavy music. I'm really excited. Gabe, I'm excited for your new album. People should check out and follow Anti-Moss Beast on YouTube and wherever else you can find him. Let's do one last look over at the gram. Nobody's really hanging out there, but I appreciate you, Harold, for being on TikTok. I appreciate everybody that passed by. And that's our show in a very manageable 57 minutes. But thanks for being here. Once again, it's a tough time in the world. Look out for each other. I got a concert to go to tomorrow. We'll get some news about that next week. And thanks for being here. As I say every week at this juncture of the show, it's a pleasure to be here. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay as metal as humanly possible. And I am going to dance a jig on the way out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Check it out. GhostCultMag.com. Peace.